For joining me, and I can feel depression coming. I This picture is of me, and it was in a real moment. It happened, I don't know, about 4 or 5 days ago. I was sitting near my computer and I felt like this. I had my face in my hands, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna take a picture of it because it was real, and I could feel that depression coming on. And of course, I was able to stave it off because I used the strategies, but I could feel it coming on. And I think I don't remember specifically what brought it on, but one thing I know that's been pissing me off a lot is just the financial scams that make up the stock markets and just the banking system, and it's very frustrating. Okay, so I've been in the education field for over 20 years, and I'm a proud educator, K-12 and special education and also general education. I am a proud educator. However, we do not do our students justice in terms of or in relation to two different things, and that is social emotional wellness and money. So let's talk social emotional wellness first, real quick. We do teach mindfulness, and that is mainly I'll give you a scenario. So students come in at the beginning of the day and they have a little bit of a spiel, and then they're given time to maybe take a couple deep breaths to remind themselves to be mindful, and then they might do that at recess time. Now, if they get into an argument or an altercation at recess, okay, they're told to take deep breaths. Sometimes they get processed. Um, that whole the feeling, the situation gets processed by the counselor, but we don't do this the way that it should be done. I mean, to me, adults should be modeling how we do it in real life situations, and that just doesn't happen. We don't address it as a system, and that is not to criticize the really committed and dedicated and loyal educators that I've been privileged to know. It's a system failure. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'll also attach my video to show what I'm doing in terms of the kinds of workbooks I'm creating and why. So that's money. We do the same thing, or that's social emotional wellness. We do the same thing regarding money. When we teach money, we teach credit score, or we teach how to open a checking account and how to budget. And all those things are great, but we don't teach about bonds, treasury bonds, municipal bonds. We don't teach return on investments. We might teach credit score, but that's to the extent that we provide instruction on money. We don't talk about growing assets and liabilities, and that might come in an accounting class. But to me, money should be talked about and taught as the whole, like a system wide. All students should have financial education in that deep way, where we're teaching all of those things, where we're teaching assets and liabilities, and we're teaching money, making money versus earning money. And so what I do is because I see the shortcomings in the social emotional wellness, and then money. Okay, now with that being said, I've been learning a lot on just the biggest, most corrupt financial scam. You might have saw the video. I'm posting it in this video. That video again, which is called "How the Biggest, Most Corrupt Financial Scam Began and What to Do to Protect Yourself." It was like 3 minutes long, and there's no narration. But in the video description, you'll see just all of the notes that I took. That is organized by slide, and it's not, anyway. It's just sort of bullet points almost. It's again, that video is just 3 minutes long. There's no narration. I know that it goes by kind of fast, but each page has a blurb to give you some information about how this banking scam began and how it's evolved over centuries of time. It's frustrating, but the more frustrating part is that most people don't know anything about it, and I was one of them up to just a few years ago. I felt like I just never had time to pay attention, and I was very naive in thinking that most politicians get into the business to serve their country, but that's just not the case. And again, I'm very naive. Every time I find out something that's even sort of conspiratorial sounding, I'll doubt, and then I'll try and research. And unfortunately, it is correct that it is a financial scam. We are being duped. We are the wool is being pulled over our eyes, and it pisses me off, to be honest. Now, unless we change, and unless most of us learn this information, start voicing our opinions to the right people, such as our politicians, until we really start putting our feet to the fire and voting with our feet, things are not going to change. And that is scary to me, because I have children and three grandchildren, and I don't want them to live in this world, especially the trajectory in which we're headed. So if you feel depression coming, there are a few tips that I want to share. Tips that I've shared along, the course of my career with my students, with students' families, with my own family, and things that I practice on my own. All right. So what are symptoms? What are the symptoms of depression that's coming on, right? Okay, here are a few things, and you don't have to, absolutely do not have to have all of them in order for it to be quote unquote depression. But once you start seeing these things, and that's that's a big thing, right? Just being aware of what these things are. Once you see them or you recognize them, you're gonna need to do something. Here are the symptoms. You start to kind of feel unsocial, like you just don't want to go anywhere. There's a lack of motivation. You have a list of things to do and you just kind of don't feel like doing it, or you feel like you're just kind of dragging ass to get things done. You're tired, you're more fatigued, you feel just like this sense of lethargy. And it's even worse 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, when that afternoon sluggishness comes in. Like you're crazy tired. Like I said, you don't want to leave the house. Even showering and hygiene becomes a major chore. You're irritable. You're finding yourself snapping at things and at people that you just wouldn't normally snap at or snap because of. You can't sleep, or your sleep is very interrupted. You don't get into REM sleep, that deep sleep. You can't decide what to eat. Simple decisions just are like excruciating. You can't decide if you want to go to a party or an event, or even things that you've looked forward to. You cannot concentrate. Your mind is scattered and you're all over the place. These are symptoms of depression coming on. But I don't want you to, don't get scared about it, because there are definitely things that you can do. What can you do? First of all, I'm not going to tell you be positive, suck it up, read stay positive quotes. Although read stay positive quotes is part of it, I don't expect that to be the answer. That is never the answer. That is just to kind of maintain feeling good, right? Reading stay positive quotes, and then stop being negative. I won't tell you to just do those things, because that implies that what you're feeling is not real, but it is very much real. Why will I not tell you to do those things? Because life is freaking hard. And as I spoke about at the beginning of this video, you have major forces against you. And I would bet that many people never thought of it that way, where you're making decisions to live your best life, but you've actually got systems and just and corrupt systems at that, that's actually working against you. For a quick example, the Federal Reserve is charged with quote unquote, keeping the dollar stable, right? They regulate. First of all, they don't regulate. That's bullshit. And then second of all, they suck, right? They've never ever done it as long as this central bank has been in operation, which was I can't even remember, 1913. They do a shitty job because they do the job that they need to do for the people they need to do it for. That's not us. Okay? So you can be making good decisions and you can be on a good path, and then all of a sudden things come and start slamming you from all angles. Inflation, job loss, right? All of those things are orchestrated on purpose, because when the Federal Reserve needs to reach their goals, sometimes they need to cause unemployment. Sometimes they need people to they're trying to get inflation so high that businesses get to the point where they have to lay off people, or they have to, or interest rates get so high, the cost of doing business gets so high that they need to raise the cost of items, so that it's harder for us to buy them. So then we lose all our savings, and then, it's just this big spiral. They do those things on purpose. So I'm not trying, do not play the victim, because bottom line is, if you're depressed, you need to get yourself out, and nobody else is going to. But you don't need to beat yourself up for making bad decisions. Just be aware that there are institutions, and those institutions at times will want your demise. So keep that in mind. Again, there's just not a really great support system for people in this world. I mean, if you research what's happened to people with disabilities over the course of these few hundred years up until even this point, it's disgusting. We do not have this is a very cruel world, and I am not over, exaggerating. And why will I not tell you to just be positive, suck it up, and read stay positive quotes? Because you are worth it. I believe in God. If you are here, then you were created because you are unique, you are special. He knew every single hair on your head before you were even, thought of. He already knows, like, the person that you're going to become. And you are a unique individual, and you are a precious kiddo. And I tell that to my students, that, as many students as I've taught, not one can I say was like another. Everyone is unique, and it's kind of amazing when you think about it that way. All right, so what will I tell you then? I tell you, number one, to never give up. Okay, what can you do about the depression? You need to find a trusted friend and be honest about your struggles. Okay, because if you're not honest about your struggles, there's no way you're going to address the struggles, right? And let's just say you want to make I don't know, pineapple upside down cake. Okay, if you don't acknowledge that you want to make a pineapple upside down cake, and you just try and make a cake, your cake is not going to come out, because you don't even know what kind of cake you're looking to make, right? I mean, it's kind of silly, but that's the way you should look at it. Like, if you're not honest about what you're actually feeling and being and doing, there's no way you're going to fix it. So if you're not comfortable with being transparent, you need to get comfortable. And after a while, after you do it a few times, it gets easier. Next, you got to remind yourself that you have worth. You have to believe it. Now, if you're an atheist, I honestly don't know what to tell you, because I think it's important to believe in something bigger than you. And if you think like this, let's just say you ended up the very last person on earth. Okay? There's no way you could perpetuate life. There's something bigger out there than us, right? You alone cannot perpetuate the earth. So, I mean, if that's the case, right? It's like there is something bigger than you. And if there's something bigger than you, you were created, okay, ultimately by that thing that was bigger than you. I believe in God, but you don't have to. And it doesn't bother me one bit. I'm just trying to help as many people as I can have a better, more productive life, and just be happy, as corny as that sounds. Okay, next, what can you do about it? Tell yourself that millions of others have these experiences. So I recently did a Google or a search using Answer the Public. It's a subscription-based service, but you can type in a couple of words, and then you'll see like how many people actually search using those or related keywords. And if you just, like, I put in positive quotes or stay positive or depression, there's like thousands of people who are searching for that, right? And then statistics show that even the believable statistics, right? The reputable ones, they show that there's like millions of people a year on antidepressants. So you're not alone, and that should provide you comfort. You need to tell yourself that this is normal. We have ups and we have downs, and we have ups and we have downs. And what you need to do is learn to, or what we all need to do, me included, is just navigate your way from the downs back to the up. I created a quote. It went something like this: like, if you're walking in the valley, climb a mountain, right? So if you're in that cycle where you're down, right? Just know that the cycle is going to go up, right? You go down and then you go up, you go down and you go up. So when you're in the valley, climb the mountain, get up there. Okay, then you have to commit to extinguishing the feeling. So if it's like depression, get the hell away from me, that's what you're going to need to do. You're going to need to get your ass up, even if your feet, if it's heavy, okay? And you're going to need to tell yourself, okay, wait, this is not going to happen. I'm not going to allow myself to happen, because I am worth it, because God is good to me, and I am unique, and I'm special, and I'm not going to let this overtake me. And I know that this is not just me. There's systems that are against me and against my family, and they are not going to win. And you get yourself up. You need to know that there are people out there who care. There's lots of people. And I know in the school system, even though just statistically speaking, the public school system may not be doing such a great job, but I work in a district where I know a lot, I would say hundreds of educators who are there for the right reasons, and that's comforting. Even in this very vitriolic place in time where you hear stories about like racism and discrimination. Actually, I shouldn't even say it honestly, like as if it's an opinion. It's a fact that these corrupt systems are trying to paint a picture of ugliness amongst the people. The what they call what they believe are the quote unquote lower class. Because if people are fighting about stupid shit, then all of this, the financial scams and the corruption and the bullshit that they're trying to sell us, becomes easier. And or we don't pay attention to that because we're paying attention to stupid stuff like this, like at things that don't even exist. Okay, know that many have overcome. I'm one of them. I mean, like I said, I go through the valleys and the mountains and the valleys and the mountains, but I'm committed to doing my best, to being a better person, because I also have people that are depending on me to be good. You know what? I should have even put that on list. Actually, that should have been number one. You have to figure out who the people are that are counting on you. And that's a major motivator. I can't even believe that I didn't do that. But people are counting on you. I don't care who you are. And so keep those faces in your mind. Okay. And then don't take no for an answer, because life is short. If you need help with something, okay, and you're doing the best you can, you're not being a victim, right? You're working, just know, right, that life is short, and you just do not take no for an answer. Keep going until you find the answer. In school, right? As an educator, and I support teachers who teach students. A lot of times we have maybe like a behavior issue, maybe with a student, and it's a hard one. I remember I had a kiddo who spat like 500 times a day, just spat because he didn't want to do work. And so you can imagine how teachers would get afraid of that, right? He would actually mess himself like all over the ground in the classroom, in a little corner of the classroom, just because he didn't want anyone bothering him. Okay. And so those behaviors, right, was like crazy. And so teachers would always like, well, I mean, I can understand, right? So it's not criticism of teachers, but they would say like, oh my gosh, we can't do this. I don't know what to do. Like, it's just, I can't, we tried this, we tried that, we tried this. And then you give up, right? You cannot give up. You have to keep trying. And if you don't have an answer, then it's not that there isn't an answer. It's just that you haven't found the right one yet. And in regards to that situation, the kid spitting, it was crazy because when I went in there, I was like, okay, this kiddo loves, he was kind of like a lethargic sort of kid. Part of that was because of his medication, but he always wanted to sit down. So every time he spat, he'd stand up. And then the only time that he could sit and work was if he wasn't spitting. And he was spitting like throughout the day. And so after I would say about 2 or 3 days, like he caught on. He just stopped spitting. Well, at first it was like a big decrease, and then we just extinguished it because he knew once he would stop the spitting, or he knew that he wouldn't get to sit down if he spat. And so that was just a way that we worked on that. Oh my gosh, I can't. I was thinking, why did I get to that example? I remember, because you just never take no for an answer. Never stop trying until you actually find a solution. Okay. Now, this is a resource that I create Our business is Rise and Thrive Publishing. This is a workbook called Project 28, and its objective is to make positive changes a habit in just 28 days. Okay, where can you find it? It is on Amazon. You can go to momilani.com and to the workbook page, and you can check it out. You can use it without paying. It's on YouTube. It's on my channel. You like every single activity. So the 28 days is on YouTube. Or actually, go to the website momilani.com. Go to the Project 28 page, and you'll see 28 videos. Every lesson, every activity is a video. I would rather you buy it. Thank you, because I'm this is a business. But if not, if you can't, that's no problem. It's free. If you do buy it, then the videos are an accompaniment to the workbook. The reason why I want you to buy it, besides the fact that this is a business and I very much appreciate the opportunity to serve you as a customer, is because I believe that being able to hold the book in your hands and being able to kind of grasp on it when you're in the middle of a crisis is important. It's an artifact that you'll forever be able to keep. And you can refer to it when you forget. Sometimes when I'm feeling depressed, in fact, when I took that picture that day, I went to my right, I grabbed the book, and I just started flipping through it. And so I really feel like it's valuable. I did not create a digital version because I for those reasons. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Please, if I would really appreciate it if you check out the video, how the biggest, most corrupt financial scam began and what you can do to protect yourself. Because the more you learn, the more we can get together, the more we can protect our children and grandchildren from this crazy, crazy corruption that has gripped our world from like the 1100s. It actually started, and the video will show you, with the Knights of Templar. And this is just like one linear, you know, example, right? Because the world is it's webbed, right? But I just gave you certain examples throughout history, and it started with in the 1100s with the Knights of Templar. They started as a sort of a group of men who wanted to protect Christians on their sojourn, and then they started collecting fees to safekeep the assets or the valuables of the Christians. And then they got corrupt over time, which is what happens to all groups or most groups. And then they started pretending that they had more valuables than they actually did, and then they got corrupt and greedy, and then they started charging more, and then families were who evolved from then eventually became bankers, and then the bankers engaged in like really outrageous or charging of outrageous interest, and then they got rich, and then it just evolved over time. We need to know this information, and I'm not trying to create a revolt. What I'm trying to do is to empower you to be your strongest, your best self. Social emotional wellness, and then just staying positive, looking at yourself as the gift that you are, the special unique person that you are, understanding money, and not being as naive as I once was, and learning the actual truth and not letting the distractions get a hold of you. That is my goal. I hope you subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends if it's helpful for you. Thank you so much for joining me, and till the next video. Aloha.